Babs, thank you. Simon, so brilliant to hear you and the team back for drive time. That always helps. Forgiven.
Yes.
I have a confession that my daughter has been urging me to send you for years and years. We enjoyed so many times on the school run. She's now about to go to medical school to study medicine, surprisingly. So here goes. I mean, who'd have thought you go to medical school for that? But that's what she's doing. I was one of this is Babs now. I was one of a handful of female dental students at a huge teaching hospital in South London in the late 1970s. In those days, if you were a male and good at rugby, you were almost guaranteed a place at medical or dental school. The macho alpha male was very much alive and generally always kicking. The female students, they declared, were there specifically for their delight and entertainment and were generally not taken seriously, despite the fact that the girls actually had to achieve academic excellence to earn their places, not just be good at rugby. There you go.
Okay, a spoiler alert, definitely forgiven. Whatever she's doing, it's definitely forgiven.
Yeah, I thought so. You wait till you find out who we're talking about. There was one particular blonde medical student, says Babs, let's call him Sebastian, who clearly thought...
Right, here we go.
Who clearly thought he was God's gift to the female species and behaved accordingly, strutting about the hospital in his starched white coat and dangling stethoscope, blowing kisses, being inappropriate and constantly breaking hearts. He was a proud wearer of the newt tie, a badge of honour worn by edict every Friday to signify his achievement in drinking 8 pints of beer in 1 hour without repercussions. We have, Babs, all met people like Sebastian. Yeah. In those days, says Babs, the dental students were deemed to be more dexterous than their medical counterparts and therefore better at sewing, especially the girls, and were thus used unpaid in the very busy A&E department at nights and at weekends. The real doctors, in inverted commas, the real doctors only working 9 to 5 Monday to Friday. Different times, says Matt, as he does.
What?
So we were dealing with any minor injuries that required stitching. Most Saturday nights, it would be 2 of us girls on duty all night, stitching up various body parts and dealing with the non-life-threatening injuries, most of which arose following consumption of vast amounts of alcohol. We also saw minor fractures and would help out in the plaster room. Now imagine our delight then when the doors open and a very intoxicated Sebastian, for it is he, was wheeled in, having sustained a leg injury during a beer-fueled altercation in the bar after a rugby match. Well, us 2 girls had had a fraught and busy Saturday night, but we felt it was only fair that we should give him the very best treatment, and we carefully and thoughtfully took our time to apply the very best thigh-to-ankle full-leg cast, and in those days there was none of this plastic stuff. It was 100% heavy old plaster of Paris. We found him a bed in the corner of the orthopaedic ward, and the next morning, as his hangover receded, he came to terms with just how incredibly debilitating it was going to be living with a broken leg. The X-ray was quite clear. Nasty fracture for sure. It was going to be many months without rugby, without squeezing the bottom of every nurse on the wards, and without being able to notch up more conquests in the medical school penthouse bar, as the lift was out of action and 7 flights of stairs was going to be just too much. Well, here we go. Now is a good time to confess, Father Simon, to Sebastian. We decided to strike back at this serial philanderer, this self-styled Casanova, this arrogant, obnoxious, jumped-up, wretched pest of a dentist who thought the sun shone out of his mandibula. Well, guess what, sunshine? Your leg was never broken. We accidentally...
Oh, unlucky!
We accidentally made that bit up. You had your leg in full plaster for 2 whole months before you were told that there'd been a mix-up with the X-rays, and it was just a muscle injury. Our paths never crossed again. So sorry / not sorry. And that's from Babs. Well, I instinctively know which way this is going to go. There's not much insight needed, I think, for tonight's confession. Sister Susie, first of all, from the pub.
Well, Babs, I could say, you wasted time, but do you know what? I'm totally on your side. In fact, I applaud your restraint, because if it was me, it'd been like a full body cast or something, just to get him out of the way, never have to deal with him again. Forgiven, totally, Babs. You're brilliant.
Do you want to flesh out your answer, Brother Matthew?
I mean, come on. Yeah, I'm actually with Susie on this. I'd have had the bloke in a complete body cast. The whole thing, whole 9 yards for you, Sebastian Sunshine. I think, bluntly, trying to find someone who doesn't think Babs needs to be forgiven is going to be like trying to find someone who thinks the European Super League's a good idea. Hashtag topical. Yes, I am going to forgive.